Hey guys, welcome back to the Truth Pages. It is your boy TTP, back with another video for you guys. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell, like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Don't be a hater all your life. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it. So this is a video I had planned on releasing maybe like a couple weeks ago or something like that, and I just didn't have enough facts to be able to fully drop the video and release it, because I'm not the type of person that just drops videos without showing evidence, without showing proof. I'm just not that kind of video creator. I like to have plenty of proof of what I talk about. So basically, we've seen a lot go on in the last couple weeks, okay? We've seen the rioting, we've seen the looting, we've seen the violence, we've seen all of that, right? Well, there's something greater that is on the horizon for all of us that I think needs to be talked about. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a purge-like situation. We've already kind of seen the purge-like scenario play out with the violence and the looting and the rioting, but the left have been pushing a race war for a very long time. Civil war is something that they've wanted for a very long time. And right now, we're seeing that unfold right before our very eyes. And in this video, I'm going to prove to you guys that a purge is coming. A great purge is coming. So let's just go ahead. Let's not waste no more time. Let's jump in and let's gather the facts. It's your boy TTP. Let's go. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you guys is a video I happened to catch on YouTube, where there are basically people saying that if you're not posting about Black Lives Matter and you're white and you're not posting about Black Lives Matter on your social media, you're a racist, which is total propaganda. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the video real quick so you can see for yourselves that they're trying to say if you're white and you're not posting about Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, you're considered a racist. Let's just take a quick look at the propaganda.
Sorry, this is very fresh for me because this just happened this morning. A friend of mine, posted something without posting anything about hashtag Black Lives Matter. It's incredibly hurtful. It's incredibly hurtful, particularly to people that I considered friends.
While I would otherwise love to read your favorite banana bread recipe, while you see, and I know it's on everyone's feed, people screaming because they're in pain and calling out, it is necessary for me to have people, especially influencers, especially celebrities, to acknowledge that pain, right? I like to compare it to being on fire. Like if you were standing in a fire, you're in pain, and you have someone who's sitting 3 feet away who's not on fire, who's refusing to acknowledge your pain and is twirling around with banana bread, it's the same thing.
In your natural state of like being distraught or sadness, like if something extremely personal happens to you, I can't see how you can be in that state and post about it or be about it, and then 5 minutes later, like post a cocktail mix or like you dancing. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to post about Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and then in the midst of that, I'm posting about things that are lighthearted and happy and completely unrelated.
White silence is incredibly powerful. It's not neutral. It acts like a weapon. It's not even silent, like it speaks volumes, right? And the people of color who are around a silent white person, they hear the silence and they feel it and they feel what it means.
Whenever I see someone who's not a person of color on social media who is not posting anything at all, it reads as either tone deaf or worse, being complicit.
This is something that I've talked at great lengths about with my husband, because I am watching. I'm watching who speaks out. And I'm not saying that you have to speak out and have this, this whole spiel of Black Lives Matter. I'm not even necessarily saying I need you to post, but at the bare minimum, a friend would reach out to another friend. How are you doing during this time? I'll admit that I've been silent. I'll admit that I've ignored some of the issues that you face as a Black person, but I want you to know that I'm your friend and I see you and I hear you. I am paying attention to friends that aren't doing that.
I'm a new mother, and this has been particularly difficult and painful I look at my son and I see Tamir Rice. I look at my son and I see Trayvon Martin. When I see people choosing, because they have the privilege to choose, to ignore our pain and our fear, and the fact that it feels like half the time we are screaming into a void, and that people are not listening because it makes them uncomfortable. When I see that, I want to show them a picture of my happy child and say, George Floyd was that child. Tamir Rice was that child, et cetera, et cetera. Breonna Taylor was that child. That is someone's child. And so the very least you can do is acknowledge the pain. The very least you can do is hear us.
All the incidents we have had with Black people dying, there have been other officers, other white people standing at the sides watching it happen. Why? Why couldn't they have just said, stop, man, stop? Why was that so hard?
You know, one has to ask whether there isn't a certain amount of willful blindness that comes into play at certain times. When you're talking about persistent white silence in the face of so many invitations to speak.
I think fear drives everything or prevents everything. People are afraid of saying the wrong thing. People are afraid of how they're going to appear. People are afraid of their lack of knowledge, and people are afraid of the unknown.
I'm starting to see a lot of people say, I haven't spoken out because I didn't know what to say. I haven't spoken out because I've been afraid. And I'm like, okay, no. Yeah, like that ship has sailed. The month of May has been brutal for people of color with the instances that we're just seeing happen every week. We know it's happening, but it's on such a national platform. And you shouldn't be afraid at this point. You should just do it. Just speak out. You should be so disturbed in the way that we are that you can't help yourself but speak out.
We need white people to engage critically, honestly, repeatedly, thoroughly in the dismantling of racial hierarchy and white supremacy in this country, because they're part of it. As with any problem in society, we can't solve it without the participation of the people who, even if they don't want to be, are largely responsible for creating and maintaining it.
In every society, there's a social caste system, and white people in this one are at the top. And historically, if you look at even looking at the civil rights movement, Black people have never been able to do it alone and by themselves. And that's partly because we aren't looked at the same way in this society. We aren't on the same level. You know, if we're screaming Black Lives Matter, it's because you haven't been valuing our lives in the same way that you do your own. So if you're not valuing us, then how do you value our voice and our opinions and our demands for our rights? That is why we need the assistance of our non-Black brothers and sisters to help us in this fight, to show that we are America, we are unified, and we are all fighting for equality in the same way. Look at us all as one. Look at us as the same. Look at us using one voice to fight for change.
Find the action that fuels you. If that means there's a protest today at 3:00, I'm going in Times Square. If that means getting up and protesting, if that means donating, if that means speaking in your own words on your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook, your outlet, your ways of mass communication, then do it. Stop hesitating. Stop thinking that you'll get it wrong. There is no getting it wrong. There's just doing it.
There we go. Mainstream media pushing agendas, pushing racial division. Obviously, these people in that video are crisis actors. That one Black dude trying to pretend like he was crying, trying to make his eyes all watery, but I didn't see not one tear drop from his eyes. Guys, this is what I mean when I say that these folks that run this world want racial division. So they'll use propaganda like the video we just watched to make racial division happen, because that is the goal. A white person is not racist because they don't want to post about such sensitive issues on their personal Instagram page. Who are we to tell people what they should put up on their social media? Why does everything have to be for the whole world to see? Racism and injustice is a problem in America. But telling people because they don't want to post about it makes them a racist is total BS. Let's continue. Now, since we're talking about the Purge, I'm going to show you guys a few clips from the movie The First Purge. Now, let me give you a little synopsis of what the movie is about. So basically, the world is in a state of chaos, just like it is right now. People no longer trust the Republicans. They no longer trust the Democrats. But there's a new party that finds favor with humanity called the National Founding Fathers, the NFFA, National Founding Fathers Association, or something like that, right? So basically what they're doing is they realize that there's not enough aid to go around. So they decide to start an experiment called the Purge, where every person that lives in Staten Island in the projects will be paid $5,000 to participate in this experiment known as the Purge, right? The reason why they're incentivizing people to do it, because if things go their way, blacks will be killing blacks in large numbers, and they ain't got to pay nobody no $5,000, right? So they won't have to pay out $5,000, and they will also have eliminated a large number of minorities. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at some clips from the first Purge, and I'll come back with some more.
Across the nation.
Stock market down another 2,000 points and the largest drop in its history.
A subprime mortgage crisis worse than 2008.
Neighborhoods across the country destroyed by an opioid epidemic.
Protests across the nation. Americans are looking for a necessary change in these tumultuous times.
Citizens growing angry as they face a collapsing economy.
A new party is arising as a substitute to the Republicans and Democrats, calling themselves the New Founding Fathers of America.
The New Founding Fathers rising in polls, with the NRA now endorsing them and supporting them financially with large donations to the NFFA war chest.
Can the NFFA seize control? Will Americans fall for their fear-mongering?
As your elected president, with my fellow New Founding Fathers, we make this promise. We will revive this country. The American dream is dead. We will do whatever it takes to let you dream again.
Person.
Oh, wait. Just tell me what I need to do to get paid.
If you remain on Staten Island during the experiment, you will receive monetary compensation of $5,000.
You'll give me $5,000 just to stay home during this thing? How would you know if I stayed?
We would implant a tracking device in your arm. Not harmful. And if you decide to participate beyond that, there would be further compensation.
What do you mean, participate?
Go out, release your anger.
You mean kill someone?
If you feel compelled.
Okay, let's do this. I need the money.
Okay, so let's just dissect this little portion we just looked at. So basically, the NFFA is incentivizing people to not only participate in the Purge, but also stay in Staten Island once the Purge happens. Why do they want this? So that they can get the massive genocide that they want, and the people who participate will be more than willing to kill the next person because they need the money. And they want her to stay there so that she can become victimized and be killed, and they don't have to pay her $5,000. Are you guys with me so far? Let's continue. Now, also in the video, we saw how people are rioting. People are looting. There's a lot of chaos in the world. This is all happening right now. This movie is literally predictive programming. I think this movie came out in 2019. So a year ago, they were telling us that this was gonna happen in such a way that it is happening. Let's move on. Now, long story short, what ends up happening is that the folks in Staten Island during the purge, they end up just partying, having fun, and not killing each other, right? So the government becomes desperate. And what do? They send in mercenaries and pay mercenaries to go into Staten Island and kill every single minority that they come across. Take a look. So earlier today, I came across a video that was very disturbing to watch. And in the video, there's a woman who is saying that in the South, the KKK have been dispatched there to kill all minorities. Let's take a look at that video real quick together.
Alright guys, I'm going to say this real quick. I'm at work and I just found out that the Ku Klux Klan is coming to Alabama, and they said they want to kill every black person here, guys. So this is serious. I was supposed to get up at 5. They're closing the store like right now. We're getting ready to close. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. I'm just trying to hurry up and call my folks, my son and my kids, and let them know what's going on. But they're getting ready to lock down Birmingham, Alabama. So guys, pray for us because we don't know what's going on. It's gotten this bad here. So make sure, pray for me, guys. All right, love you. Bye.
Wow. So we actually have the KKK in Birmingham, Alabama, being told to kill every single black person that they see. Do you guys understand what's going on here? This is a race war. This is a civil war. The left want this. The elites want this. If you are in the South, my prayers go with you. Stay in the house if you can. If you don't need to go outside, don't go outside, because this is getting pretty crazy. Crap is about to hit the fan in Birmingham, Alabama, and eventually I'm pretty sure it'll spread to other parts of the country as well. But this is some crazy stuff. This is completely crazy. Now, let me show you guys a video of Maxine Waters, a well-known Democrat, saying and advocating violence against anyone who isn't on the left. Let's take a look real quick.
What's happening in America? Civility out, shaming and shunning in. On the same weekend, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders is asked to leave a restaurant. Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters says don't let the public shaming stop with Sanders.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Wow, look at that. You got a Democratic Congresswoman basically inciting and promoting violence against anyone who's not on the left. More distinctly, Republicans. I mean, this is just proof that this is an ongoing agenda that they have been pushing for quite some time. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you guys is a video clip from SNL, Saturday Night Live, okay? Now, this episode was aired in the early 2000s, and the late night talk show host Jimmy Fallon is seen in this clip portraying a blackface character. Now, as I've mentioned, this episode premiered in the early 2000s, but the video has recently resurfaced out of nowhere, and now Jimmy Fallon is getting a lot of hate. He's being dragged all across social media. People are going in on him, and, you know, just like all these other celebrities, he ends up apologizing for it. And let's just take a quick look at the clip. I think it's very, very interesting that this clip just magically just resurfaces while all this racial tension is going on. This was done on purpose. Let's take a look. So basically, we have Jimmy Fallon here doing an impersonation of Chris Rock, and he's doing the blackface. And as I've said, obviously, this was done on purpose. This video was done 20 years ago. And now, all of a sudden, everyone's up in arms about it. Everyone's pissed off at Jimmy. And then, of course, just like every other celebrity, you know, when their career starts to be affected by the dumb stuff they do, they want to turn around and apologize. I mean, you didn't think that this was racist? You didn't think that this was going to offend people 20 years ago? I get it. I mean, we're living in a world where people are extremely sensitive nowadays and can't take a joke. But for him to get behind this and, you know, do it, there should have been some sort of conviction. Now you want to have a conviction because everyone's coming for you and saying that they want to cancel Jimmy Fallon. I'm not buying it, bruh. The first time they handed you that script and said, we need you to do this impression of Chris Rock and do the blackface, you should have said no. But you did it. And now that people are coming for you and want you canceled, now you want to get all emotional and apologize. It's always funny until it comes back and bites you in the butt. Let's continue. Now, another thing that we need to talk about as far as this purge situation is that a lot of inmates are being released due to COVID-19. We're seeing inmates who have not fully served their time being released out into the world, okay? We have murderers, convicted murderers, rapists, pedophiles, all types of people that should not be amongst the general public being released because of COVID-19. Now, why would they do that? Why would they release these violent criminals and use the C word as a scapegoat to do so? Because we're about to see a purge. We're about to see bloodshed like we've never seen in this country and across the world. It's going to be total chaos. You think the rioting and looting was bad? Oh my goodness. When crap hits the fan and this purge situation unfolds, there will definitely be a lot of bloodshed. And we can see the makings of this happening, especially with the KKK in the South, in Alabama. We have the prisoners being released, okay? We have rioting and looting over a man being killed by the police unjustifiably. It's just a whole lot going on, guys, and you know, these things are not going to get better. So we can look at what we know from what we've seen in the last few weeks and what I've talked about in this video, that there is definitely something brewing that's bigger than George Floyd. It's bigger than the looting. It's bigger than the protests. It's bigger than the C word. It is a purge-like situation. There will come a point in time very, very soon, from what we're seeing, where people will be encouraged to be violent against others. Now, they're already talking about defunding the police department. And if they defund the police department, a purge situation can completely unfold. Let's just take a quick look at a news clip talking about how people are requesting that the police be defunded. Let's take a look.
Tonight, with a mounting national chorus decrying police brutality against Black Americans, there's a new call for deep structural reform of policing across the country. Many are now demanding departments be defunded, dismantled, or outright abolished.
I want people to understand that we are committed to shifting resources to ensure that the focus is on our young people.
Today in New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio announced a plan to defund the NYPD by shifting money in the city budget from policing to social services. The move joins with Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, who recently agreed to slash up to $150 million from the police budget. At its core, defunding simply means divesting a chunk from a city's policing budget and rerouting it to community programs. Black Lives Matter co-founder Alicia Garza says reinvestment could be a turning point.
But what we do need is increased funding for housing. We need increased funding for education. We need increased funding for the quality of life of communities who are over-policed and over-surveilled.
In Minneapolis, the city council is considering a move to reform the department.
Shame!
At a rally, Mayor Jacob Frey was booed for saying no to dismantling the police department. But policing can be dangerous. Saturday in Santa Cruz, California, a sheriff's deputy was shot and killed during an ambush.
In my 32-year career, this is the worst day that I've ever experienced.
Defunding is a nice catchphrase, but in reality, you're defunding police organizations that, for the most part, are already significantly underfunded. And that's going to be made worse because of the coronavirus economic impact that all states and cities are beginning to feel.
But as the outrage over the death of George Floyd and the plight of millions of Black Americans shifts from protest to change, the calls to defund are only growing louder.
Steve, we saw the mayor of Minneapolis being booed and jeered at. The city council met today. What do we know?
Kate, today 9 council members committed to disbanding the police department, but at this point, it's all rhetorical. A member on city council says it will take at least a year for them to make any meaningful action.
Now, what would the world look like if the police department and law enforcement was completely eradicated? Definitely would look like a purge situation, because the premise of the movie The Purge is that crime is legal. All crime is legal, including murder, for a certain period of time. And while the purge is going on, all police services, hospitality services are all suspended when the purge is taking place. So what this looks like to me is a situation where if the police get defunded, which they probably will because of all the stuff that's going on right now, it would allow total chaos. Now, we saw some chaos with the looting and the rioting and stuff like that, but imagine if there's not going to be any police response whatsoever because the police department and law enforcement and enforcement of laws no longer exists for a certain period of time. That could totally turn into a purge-like situation. Let's continue. Now, I feel like this is likely to happen because it plays right into the plans of the New World Order. Suspend policing, suspend law enforcement, allow folks to go crazy. I mean, I feel like the rioting and looting we saw was just testing grounds, okay? The government wants to know that in any instance that they want people to go crazy and cause civil unrest, they know exactly how to do it. And I personally believe that if there is a situation that leads up to a purge scenario, I'm pretty sure it's going to have something to do with race. Just like in the movie, you know, The Purge, the first Purge, you know, it starts out in the projects, in the predominantly black areas. And because people took the bait with George Floyd, the government now knows exactly what to do to push our buttons to get us to wild out again. But this time around, there will be no police officers. There will be no peace. There will be lots and lots and lots of bloodshed. So much chaos and so much bloodshed that people will be begging for martial law. People will be begging for the police to come back and to restore order. But it will not be the same way that it was. It'll be much more totalitarian. And with that will come total control and establishment of the New World Order. Now, another thing I need to bring up is that because of the rioting and the looting, the mainstream media is now saying for the people that participated in the rioting, the looting, and the protesting, they violated social distancing. So now the mainstream media is saying that these people need to be tested for the C word, right? They took the bait. They took the bait. And now those people that participated, the government knows, okay? We have location tracking on our phones, Google location. The government knows who participated, who was there, how long they were there, simply because our phones give it away. So those people that participated in this, the government might be the first ones to knock on their door when this shot that Bill Gates is developing is finally released. Those people will probably be the first ones to have the government knocking on their door trying to test them for the C word. They didn't count on that. You know, they thought that they would get away with it because there was no police presence and nobody was doing anything. But your phone is literally a blueprint to everything you've done, what you've said, who you know, where you've been. And they didn't think about that. They said, oh, I'm going to come up, I'm going to buy me, I'm going to steal some Jordans, I'm going to steal a PlayStation 4, I'm going to bust up Target. The government knows who participated because our smartphones tell them everything they need to know. Let's take a quick look at a news clip.
It's about two crises in America unfolding at the same time. Protesters urged to get tested for COVID-19 and health officials telling them they should assume they've been exposed. 18 states now with a rise in cases. The CDC warning the U.S. could see 143,000 deaths from the virus before the end of the month. Here's ABC's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, Americans marching shoulder to shoulder for justice in spite of the ongoing threat from COVID-19.
It's tough.
because you want to make sure that you're speaking up for the disenfranchised.
Demonstrators like Samantha Law handing out masks and hand sanitizer.
Mask, gloves.
She says staying home was not an option.
Does the crowd worry you at all? Obviously, you're being proactive.
No, it doesn't. I think that there's strength in numbers. It's important to gather during this time and do it safely.
Like you can't afford to wait.
You can't afford to wait. You can't.
Today in Manhattan's Washington Square Park, essentially everyone donning a mask. Well, that may not be enough to protect them from the virus.
Lots of people in close contact yelling and screaming can propel the virus, and 35 to 50% of patients with COVID can be infected and asymptomatic. There's a real concern for viral resurgence.
Tonight, 18 states and Puerto Rico reporting rising COVID cases, South Carolina registering its highest single-day total Friday, Florida coming out of its highest weekly spike, and with protests showing no signs of slowing, several cities now opening free testing sites. Seattle's mayor expanding the criteria to get a test to include anyone who's attended a large gathering.
All right, Trevor Ault joins us now from Central Park, where demonstrations just got underway. And Trevor, the New York City Health Department has issued new guidelines for protesters tonight?
That's right, Tom. The health department says anyone who attends a protest should assume they've been exposed to COVID-19 and consider getting a test in 5 days. They're also recommending protesters use drums or noisemakers to try to limit their chanting or their yelling, though that is a pretty big ask because there are hundreds of people here and thousands across the city who want their voices heard. Tom?
All right, Trevor Ault for us tonight. Trevor, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
So look, guys, that's pretty much all I gotta say. Please understand that you should not fall for the race baiting. Do not fall for the racial division. Racism is a man-made construct, okay? Before racism, before people were identified by their skin color, back in the day, people were identified by their tribal names or their bloodlines. But racism is a man-made construct, and the Bible does not condone racism in any form. The Bible teaches us that we are all one in Christ Jesus. Let's just take a quick look at what Scripture says about how we are all one in Christ and how color does not matter. Let's take a look. Galatians chapter 3, verse 28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. So the Bible teaches us that in God's eyes, we are all one, and that racism should not exist because we are all fearfully and wonderfully created by our Father, the Lord in heaven. He loves every single one of us, and the last thing he wants is for us to be divided because of our racial ethnicity or whatever race that we identify with. So anyway, that's all I gotta say. It's your boy TTP. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. God bless.